Hi, I'm Quincas and I'm a synth DIY guy, and welcome to today's video, which is about the much anticipated Delay 1 by Joranalogue Audio Design. The Delay 1 is a fully analog delay module. It's based on Bucket Brigade chips, and if you don't know what a Bucket Brigade is, I'll quickly explain. Back in the day, before we had digital memory to create delays for audio signals, people used tape machines, which were mechanical and complicated and expensive, until somebody invented this mechanism where a signal got dumped from a capacitor, a tiny capacitor, to another, to another, to another, to another, over thousands of capacitors, and that created a delay, a time delay. But it also created issues such as noise, the infamous clock whine, and so and so. So the Bucket Brigade delays were very good for certain things, not great for other things such as longer delays, which is why you'll see that this unit is not intended to be used as you would a normal effects style delay like you would have on a digital pedal, where you get like stereo ping-ponging long delays. That's not the idea with Delay 1. Delay 1 is the delay times are pretty fast in order to avoid that whine, but still there are ways around it, but you can use this to create delay style effects such as flangers, choruses, phasers. You can also use it for Karplus Strong style synthesis, which is string modeling based on delays, and I'll quickly explain that. The idea is that if you send a little pulse and you keep the feedback high enough, and the repetition is up in the audio range, and you will get, that repetition will actually generate a tone rather than just, a rhythmic repetition of that initial pulse. So by manipulating the frequency or the time of the delay, you can change the pitch, and this module can do that at 1 volt per octave response, which is no mean feat. Very nice job there. There is damping control, which is a filter that's in the feedback path of the module. So when you're using it for that kind of thing, for Karplus Strong synthesis, you can use that to adjust the timbre of your physical model of a string. There's a built-in noise transient generator in here, which you can access by sending a trigger to the plug input, and that's also tailored to be used for Karplus Strong synthesis. Now the module is made with a split phase topology, which allows for a dual output here for wet, and we can play around with some stereo ideas by using these two outputs over here together, either to process external things or for God knows what else we can come up with here. Without further ado, I do say that too much, don't I? I'm not going to say it this time. I'm going to say, without delaying you further, without blabbing anymore, I'm going to go ahead and start patching this thing so we can hear what it can sound like and what it can do. So first, let's create a fun patch with my Joranalogue box here. I think I'm going to create a little kick drum here. You'll probably see this in fast forward, so you're not wasting too much time. But basically, I'm going to use the Generate 3 core output through a VCA here on the Moreira 4. You can use a shorter cable for that. We'll take the main out, which is the added, so the mixed out of Moreira 4 into a channel of mix 3 to my output module here. Alright, no, we don't want that because it's not being flip-flopped. So we'll now use the copy of the clock to hit the pluck input here on delay 1, and we'll take the delay output and send that to our mixer. Already you hear that nice Karplus Strong string, like a struck string, right? Coming out of delay 1 here. Now, the coarse knob gives you longer delay times towards the left, counterclockwise, and shorter delay times towards the right, which gives you higher pitches. It's made that way intentionally because that's how you would use it when you use it as a Karplus Strong oscillator, right? The damping, similarly, will start filtering. So it's the opposite of what a normal low-pass filter would do, right? It's open to the left, and you dampen it more. That means you filter it more as you turn it towards the right. Right? Right? So now let's send it a sequence from step 8 here. Take the scan output, step 8, and send it to the volt per octave input of delay 1 here. So if I put all of my faders down, I think I'm going to want to use a channel of select 2 to attenuate so I can have more of the range, right? Attenuate and offset. Well, offset I can just use the coarse knob here, so I don't need that. But at least if I can attenuate the range of voltage variation coming out of step 8, I can use more of the range of positions here. So right there, that's pretty cool. So I have feedback almost all the way high, right? It's giving us these like longish notes. I turn feedback lower. Yeah, the damp mod, for the damp modulation we have high and low here. Which is actually, the kind of filter you're using, if it's low pass or high pass. I'm assuming, let's check the manual for that to make sure I'm not saying wrong stuff. So indeed, this is high pass versus low pass. So for this, I'm liking the low pass, right? It sounds super cool. Maybe turn down the kick a little bit so we can focus on that Karplus Strong sound. Sounds very nice. It's almost like hitting, like the Blue Man Group when they hit a tube with flip-flops. It kind of sounds like that kind of sound. Right. So this is like the basic Karplus Strong synthesis sound. You can use it as a voice in your patching, more traditional settings. Or you can play around with it more crazily. Maybe we use Orbit 3 here to generate some chaotic modulations. And one thing that you can modulate, for example, is the damping. So this is a modulation of the damping frequency over time. Rather, frequency damping. And we can use another one for the feedback to change. Basically, we'll be changing the K time, right? So how long these notes ring out for. Already that's pretty cool. What if we send another output of the Orbit 3, this time to the input of step 8? We get a kind of a random sequence here. And we'll turn all the faders up. Alright, so now we have a random sequence rather than the programmed one. That's cool. I like using the all setting on step 8 so that I can visualize the voltage because they get held per step, even though we're not using the main analog outputs here. It's nice to be able to see them. Alright, that's cool right there. Now there's time modulation as well, which we can use maybe for like kind of a vibrato. In the practical sense, it will affect the pitch, but we're going to use it for a more subtle kind of modulation by using another channel of generate 3, or another generate 3 rather, in LFO mode here. Yeah, there's a time modulation attenuator here where you can determine the range of this modulation. Pretty cool actually. I do like it to be subtle or close to 0. So instead of getting that straight pitch, we're getting this warbly kind of sound. And this is definitely getting out of our traditional subtractive synthesis kind of sounds, right? So just for that alone, this is super cool. Now why don't we crazily modulate the tempo as well, so this starts getting more experimental. I'll use a multiple out of the scan output here, even though I do have another link 2, should just use that instead. Alright, so we send scan to a link 2 here, and the output will go to our volt per octave control here, and then we'll take another cable from that multiple and we're going to send it to the rate of our contour 1 that's serving as a clock. Cool, I like it. Maybe we'll turn the feedback modulation down a bit, or invert it. Turn the general pitch down, because you also get longer notes with lower pitches, right? Turn down the damping modulation and up the knob a little bit. And maybe just turn up in general the contour 1 over here. And we can attenuate this signal a bit as well. And that's our damping over here. That way we get not so much variation from fast to slow here. Cool, right? Alright, maybe let's go back to sequencing. Now there's the anti and sum switch, and that's attached to feedback. Let's have a quick read in the manual what that means. It actually inverts the signal, the polarity of the signal, as it goes into the feedback loop, and that creates different timbres as that inverted polarity signal interacts and gets mixed with the original signals, right? So now let's have a look at the blend parameter and the blend modulation. The blend knob is used to set the ratio of dry, unprocessed, and wet delayed signal. So basically with the blend out to the left, all we're hearing right now is that initial noise burst that's being generated internally by sending a trigger to the plug input. And as we turn the blend up, we get more of the delay sound until we get all of the delay sound. Now this would be more useful when we're using the module to process external sounds rather than as its own voice, its own sound generator, right? And then using the blend modulation input and attenuator will be very cool. So I'm thinking, what should I put through this thing? Because I think we got the idea with the Karplus Strong string synthesis. For now anyway, right? We get a little noise if we bring the course down and send these negative voltages. We start hearing a little bit of noise, right? That's just normal for any Bucket Brigade kind of device. This one's actually the least noisy one I've ever encountered. See, now I'm audio rate modulating the time with a fixed frequency from generate 3 over here. Pretty cool. Alright, so I'm thinking a guitar would be cool, but a guitar would require my 2 hands to play. Yeah, we were getting a little bleed of this frequency when it was up in audio rate. Just make it more of an LFO again. Oh, this is really nice right here. Just the kick and that delay Karplus Strong voice. Very nice. Nice, right? So yeah, so like I was saying, maybe I should use some other device to then modulate, to apply effects. The delay one is an effect unit. So I'm gonna stop for a second and rethink and repatch this desk over here, this table, and come back. Oh, actually, before we do that, I have my instrument here, and it's connected to the gracious host USB MIDI to CV converter. So I can actually use the Karplus Strong voice um, by playing it. So why don't we do that? And in fact, I want to try a couple of different things. One of them is to see how cool the Karplus Strong voice sounds in stereo, like using the inverted polarity outputs for that. Now I've bypassed my mixer and everything and just going with the delay straight out to the output module, and we're going to use the gate output from Gracious Host to trigger the pluck input here. So already that works. All right, let's see, can you even see? And then we want the pitch output of the Gracious Host to go to volt per octave input over here, right? Turn down the octaves a bit. And it's impressive the fact that it's actually pretty well in tune. Not exactly, but pretty well in tune. And if you need to, there is a trim pot available right on the panel for adjusting. So cool, I can use it as even as sort of a percussion instrument. Very cool. Now, I'm not hearing much difference between left and right on my headphones right now. Let's modulate some parameters as we play. So I'm going to modulate the damping again and modulate the feedback. All right, cool. So that's that thing. Now I'm gonna take a little break, unpatch, and we're gonna try the delay one as an effects processor. We're gonna make some flangers, phasers, and so on with it. And I think I'm probably gonna use a guitar for that. So just hold on a second. All right, so here's the guitar. So I'm gonna just plug it in straight to the Joranalogue box because, as you can see, I have an RX2 here, which is in perfect input interface for my guitar. Okay, so now let's patch the guitar. Output A, we'll patch that right into the input of delay 1 here. Now ready? We can hear some cool stuff happening here. All right, so if I turn the coarse all the way down, that's the closest we'll get now for right now to like a time delay. Now, that's because the internal clock on this thing is pretty high. The frequency is super high, right? In order to avoid that Bucket Brigade whine, which basically is hearing the clock. You know, the clock bleeds into the signal. So if it's a clock in the audible range, it'll be heard. So the clocks here are actually above the audible range, right? But there's an input here for an external clock. So why don't we just try to use one of my oscillators here, maybe even the filter 8 in audio rate, and we'll put it in to the high frequency. Put here. Right, already we can hear that whine, but see the delay times become much slower. And you know, right now I can hear the whine. You know, maybe it's above my personal hearing range. Let's see where, yeah, around here it starts being audible. There you go. I don't know, if you don't mind it, then you can get very slow beats, see? But it's very crunchy, right? It's super like distorted and crunchy. Let's use the sum here. A little less feedback. And now we can use the blend to mix the clean guitar sound right with the delayed sound. So this is kind of like a slapback echo, which is in itself a pretty cool effect. Let's dampen this a little more and maybe turn down the guitar so it's not distorting so much. There you go. We can turn up the output here. Right. So right there, that's pretty cool. Maybe blend a little more delay in there. Yeah, this does nothing right now, the chorus knob, because that's actually affecting the internal oscillator, clock oscillator, which we're not using because we're using the filter 8 as an oscillator here. Alright, let's go back to using the internal one, and we're going to try to create some classic delay-based effects. So one of them is the phaser, right, which is just or rather a vibrato, and we'll send an LFO to modulate the time of the delay. So that can be the core over here of generate 3 in the sub audio rate. We'll turn right, since we have the blend all the way up, this is doing a kind of a what if we use the vote per octave input here rather? Or we'll use the filter 8 as an LFO. Right. Let's try it in the time input here. Yeah, this is more subtle. Right, so this is like a vibrato kind of there you go. Vibrato guitar effect. Now, as I blend in the original guitar, this starts becoming more of a chorus. And of course, this is our rate control, the filter. And this is our depth control here, the time modulation to inverter. Let's keep it subtle. This is really nice chorus right here. Now we have the feedback all the way down. If we turn it up, and the blend maybe all the way up. Let's see, there's I'm trying to do a flanger, but I think I'm missing something about it. Let me have a look at the manual. The manual explains how to do this, by the way, in the patch ideas section. So to turn this into a flanger, turn up the coarse knob to make the delay line shorter and increase the feedback. So yeah, let's turn this and turn up the feedback. Right. And apparently this is more of a flanger kind of a sound. Yeah, there it is. It does sound pretty flangy and pretty nice. Let's see. Maybe blend in more of the effect. Right, and again, I can modulate stuff, right? I can modulate the frequency of filter 8, which is our LFO right now. I can modulate the amount, the time variant, time modulation amount. So cool. Another useful thing about this input is that you can then daisy chain different modules, different delay 1 modules together to get longer delay lines that way. So you can buy 2 or 3 delay 1s and actually connect them to the same clock and cascade them and get longer delay times that way. So that's another thing that you can do, and I'm not going to do because I only have one of these guys. So there's the plug input, the feedback input. Yeah, I think I've gone through most of what this module can do. I'm sure you can think of more things and more interesting and fun patches, but this was just a quick rundown. I hope you liked it. I hope you liked the channel. So hit subscribe. By the way, you can hit subscribe on the Quincas Moreira music channel, which is my official artist channel. YouTube has blended all of my channels together. So the Synth DIY Guy channel, it still exists, and now it's a sub-channel of the Quincas Moreira music channel. So you can just hit subscribe to either one, and it's pretty much the same thing. You'll still be getting all this cool content and even more broader music production topics and my own compositions. So hopefully that's cool with you, and that's it for today. See you soon, and stay noisy.